Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. Coming in heavy, both Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury have stacked on beef ahead of their rematch. So they've tipped the scales, Wilder 231 and Fury 273. And there's some really interesting talking points coming out of both of those weights. And we'll start with Deontay Wilder first, move to Tyson Fury, a bit on what sort of impact this is going to have on the fight. Does the fact that Fury didn't take off his top, does that sort of sway you in any way? But if we start with Wilder, career heaviest. I repeat again, career heaviest weight. And you may recall that he actually said that after the first fight in 2018, for the rematch, he'd come in at 245 pounds. He hasn't tipped the scales at anywhere approaching that, but he's actually put on close to 20 pounds since the first fight. Remembering he was 212 and change in December 2018, 231 on the scale for this one. And I wasn't sure that he was going to be weighing in anywhere in the late 220s or early 230s, because I didn't think he looked much bigger than he did for his last fight just a couple of months ago. For the Luis Ortiz fight, he was 220 pounds. So I thought that he would again come in somewhere around that, but apparently not. He's obviously been hitting the weight room, and JD's and Wilder have made comments in the lead up to this fight that they don't really sort of focus on the weight. They focus on how he feels, and the weight ends up being the weight. But this is a career heaviest. His previous heaviest was against Eric Molina, 229 pounds, and that was all the way back in 2015. So Wilder really has put on some extra muscle, because you can see on screen there's not a whole lot of fat on his body. So he's obviously been training for a bit of power himself. So even though he said he thought he'd come in at the high 220s, 231 on the scale, almost 19 pounds or so heavier than the first fight. And it's clear he believes he's going to try get Fury out of there, and he believes the extra weight, the extra bulk is going to add to his knockout punch and help with power. And that was a question from the first fight, where he was down at 212 and couldn't really explain why he was that low. And on fight night, he said he was 209 pounds. So if he does have this extra weight on him, will that translate to some extra power? I guess he has to deliver that punch and make sure he hits the target and flush, but he's shown that he can catch up with Tyson Fury. So I think it's clear Deontay Wilder confident of the knockout. They said they weren't going to do too many things different for this fight. They were just going to do things better. So we'll see on that front from Deontay Wilder. But career heaviest, yeah, it took me by surprise. I was thinking, it might be somewhere in the early 220s, but 231. Clearly, he wants a bit more stank on his punches. Tyson Fury, third heaviest career weight, so 273 pounds on the scale. And you can see here, didn't take his top off, and we'll come to that in a moment, but 273. In the interview after the weigh-in, he said he's actually been holding around 270 for the past couple of months. Deliberate tactic that they've been holding his weight, didn't want to go down. And I think when you look at him, he looks bigger in the arms. It's hard to tell with the chest necessarily, because obviously the top, but 273, just a few pounds off his career heaviest, which was his return fight against Sefa Safiri back in 2018. His other fight that was heavier than that was 274 against Joey Abel. But Tyson Fury and his trainer Javan Sugar Hill, I think they've proven that, this 270, they weren't kidding, and that they are going for the knockout. And when we sort of think about this heavier weight for Tyson Fury, I know that there will be some concerns. Will this impact his movement? Will there be anything that he loses through putting on this extra beef? Because he was 256 pounds or so for the first fight, so 16.5 pounds heavier for this one, and that's quite a difference. But John Fury, his father, has made no secret. He wanted his son to be around 270, because he believes once he falls below a certain weight, he doesn't have the same sort of power, and he doesn't perform the same sort of way that he can in his sort of peak condition, which obviously they believe is around 270 pounds. And they've held that weight for a few months now. And obviously they are probably going to try and deliver on some of this promise of going for a knockout. but I don't think Fury is going to be reckless about it. But I think what we can expect to see is that he will try to close the distance at times, lean on Deontay Wilder. He's going to have a 40-odd pound advantage. He probably will be fighting on the inside to some extent to try take away some of Deontay Wilder's leverage on his punches. But, you know, Deontay Wilder does have an uppercut. We saw that against Luis Ortiz back in, what was the first fight in March 2018. So it's, you know, obviously a high-risk strategy. But Fury, at the weight, we'll soon see if he can go the distance, if fatigue becomes an issue, or if he is going to be significantly stronger. That's a really interesting point. They've laid out the strategy, what they're going to try to do, trying to go for the knockout and trying to put it on Deontay Wilder. And seemingly through this way, and it at least confirms the 270 thing, part of the strategy they're actually delivered on and proved this is actually what they're going to do. So fight night, it's interesting to see what will happen with the tactics, because I don't expect to see him necessarily just dancing on the outside for significant periods based on this weight. I'm not sure for 12 rounds, could he do that? Yeah, I think there will be a bit more inside fighting in this one, and Wilder doesn't necessarily have a great inside game, and obviously the advantage of being closer to Wilder, he can't sort of pounce across the ring, full extension with his punch, and obviously the speed at which he hits you from across the ring is part of his knockout punch and a key factor of it. So it's interesting, both these guys weighing in very heavy for this fight. And the other thing, Tyson Fury, with his shirt, didn't take it off. So what's that about? Is this just a mind game from Tyson Fury? Or some of you thinking back to December when Andy Ruiz hit the scales, didn't take his top off, and then he looked obviously pretty pedestrian in the fight because he had all the extra weight. I'm not so sure that we're going to see that sort of situation in this fight. I think Tyson Fury, we've seen from some of the training, some of, you know, when he's been walking around, it's not like he's looked like he's completely out of shape. And he's never been the body beautiful either. So I wasn't expecting to see Tyson Fury take off his shirt and looked ripped or anything like that. But it was interesting that he didn't. So some will speculate, is that a tactic, you know, to try get under Deontay Wilder's skin, make him think that he's a bit out of shape, but then come in and really do a number on him. So yeah, what do you make of that? And also, before I go, the Nevada State Athletic Commission obviously said, no, we're not going to have a face-off. But in the end, there was a pseudo sort of face-off, but from a distance. And you can see here on screen, this is a still shot from it. And this went on for, what, a minute and a half. You know, Tyson Fury pointing at times and, you know, obviously yelling. Deontay Wilder telling him 24 hours and that sort of thing. But we're almost there. Deontay Wilder, career heaviest, 231 pounds. Tyson Fury, third career heaviest, 16.5 pounds heavier than the first fight. Wilder, almost 20 pounds heavier. Tyson Fury, 273, didn't take his top off. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.